Hi, welcome to this week's session of Terpene Therapy. If you're a new listener, thank you for taking a chance and making a choice to check us out this week. Really appreciate you being here, and you're helping to build one of the terpiest communities the world has ever seen up to this point. If you're a returning listener, it's like I say every single week, couldn't do it without you, and we wouldn't want to anyways. And this week, we are sort of doing a new thing, something I haven't done in 15 years. So, we might as well get right into it. I suppose the title of this episode will be A New Leaf for Terpene Therapy. Currently, I am 48 hours without cannabis, without hash, without edibles. And it feels pretty fucking odd. So, it's something that I feel like has been looming on the horizon for the past few months. Back in March, April, I tried to sort of intentionally lower my tolerance because the benefits that I was getting for my PTSD and ADHD symptoms were diminishing, even though I was using increased amounts of cannabis. And it's something that I think it's just time to sort of redevelop or reassess the relationship that I have with it. That being said, I absolutely love and appreciate the cannabis plant and what it does for our species. I do think it's one of the most valuable tools for quality of life management that we have. It also, you can grow it for relatively low cost. And especially if you're doing, if you have a good outdoor environment. Now, it might not be the most fire of all fire, but you can grow a cannabis plant and essentially supply yourself, which again goes back to the autonomy concept, something I'm very big on. But yeah, even then, even if you have this ability, as a human being, sometimes you need to take a step back and get completely to whatever your baseline is. I suppose I haven't really done that since, I've been smoking weed every single day since I was 14 years old, and I'm 29 now, so that's over half of my life, which is nothing wrong with in my eyes personally, but I did have a pretty profound experience on the spicy squares a couple weeks ago during trimming, and I just got this overwhelming urge, not even an urge, just sort of this maybe a download from a higher place into my own consciousness about what was the relationship that I have with this plant. Is it actually a truly beneficial one? And I do believe that in the future, it has the potential to continue to be beneficial. Thinking about just it was like this looping thought feeling. Is like if you were to mix how a feeling feels and a thought happens at the same time, which I guess is what it is to be human. But I noticed just in general, I use the thinker more than the feeler. And according to, another new update is I've been doing an outpatient therapy, mental health thing. And one of the things that the therapist that I work with has said is that they don't disagree with my mindset and my concepts and the research that I present to the table, particularly for people with PTSD, and the fact that our bodies, when we undergo extremely traumatic experiences, for some reason, produce more endocannabinoid receptors, and also they some mechanism desensitizes those receptors as well. Let me make sure I'm actually recording. I'm over here, not even high, and just wondering, and we are still good. Man, but yeah, it's important to sometimes you gotta talk to other people, maybe trained professionals, to help you navigate difficult parts of your life. And, it's like I was noticing that even with the increased dosage of cannabis, I got up to a gram of RSO and about a gram of rosin. So I'd eat a gram of RSO throughout the day and dab a gram of rosin pretty much daily for the past few years. And I've been consuming, I've been dabbing for the better part of a decade now at this point. What am I, 29? And I made my first shatter when I was 17, I want to say. And I've essentially been dabbing every day since then. I guess I'm just telling you all this to sort of give you all a baseline of like where I'm at and why the withdrawal is so intense right now. 48 hours is kind of like where it starts to start. I feel like I had, residuals in my body yesterday. So I decided to smoke my last hash joint 2 nights ago. And now we're getting up to that 48 hour mark where I can feel it starting to really set in. What does that look like for me? So right now, my muscles feel like they want to shake, but they're not. It's kind of like a weird shivery feeling through my body. I'm not sure if that it has to do with regulation of muscle tension. Like cannabis can relax certain muscle groups in the body. And I'm not sure if it is a rebound symptom from years and years of doing that, or if it is a temperature regulation offset, where in the brain we have a part of our brain that controls your body's sort of thermostat. We got a guy mowing up there. Hopefully it doesn't impact the audio too much. Let's see if we can shield the microphone a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted. I will say that whenever I don't consume cannabis, my ADHD symptoms do come back full force. Not nearly as bad, though, as when I was taking amphetamine-based drugs, and amphetamine and, I guess, methylphenidate-based drugs, particularly lisdexamphetamine, which is Vyvanse, and dextromethylphenidate instant release. So that's different than Focalin, because Focalin is an extended release formulation of dextromethylphenidate, and somehow I manipulated the doctor back then, because I did used to have a problem with manipulation of the medical team to get, strong drugs. Man, I love taking that fucking speed shit too, Jesus Christ. But I'm over a decade clean at this point, and I have absolutely no intention of going back, because while the peak of that high is more euphoria than a human being can handle, and I'll tell you, the recipe right here is 3 70 milligram Vyvanses. Wait until, and I don't recommend this, don't try this at home. I was a trained degenerate back in the day, and so that's 210 milligrams of Vyvanse. Wait about 2 hours. You're gonna start to peak, and you'll know it because your teeth are basically clamped shut, and you're sweating, and you feel like you're hooked up to a fucking like a marine battery. When you hit that peak, the next step is to chew. Don't just swallow them. You got to chew up 6 of the 5 milligram dexmethylphenidates. And so if you're familiar with amphetamine, you know that it releases dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine into the receptor sites, increases the population of that. Looks like we got some visitors down here. Don't know exactly what's going on, but I guess he's just doing the rounds. And so we're gonna watch these two motherfuckers just do what they do. I wonder what their job title is. Just cart driver? I'm not sure. But he's got some high vis work gloves on, so he's up to something serious. But yeah, so we take that, and I guess I'm just going down memory lane right now with various forms of addiction that I have experienced throughout my life. It's going to be a more distracted podcast, but just know we're keeping it moving. And I'm almost excited to explore the various realities of terpene therapy and the potentialities, I suppose, is a better way of saying that, of what it is. Because, terpenes are not just found in cannabis. It's something that is ubiquitous to nature. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I decided to not go with like hash therapy or kush therapy or some sort of limiting phrase that would tie me into weed. Now, of course, cannabis has been a very beneficial tool for me for the past 15 years of my life, and especially since I started the podcast. I mean, my passion for it has taken me all around the country. At this point, I've gotten to meet some of the most inspiring people and stories that I've ever come across in my life, and it has expanded my reality in a way that I'm eternally grateful for. And I can appreciate that without even getting high, and I still appreciate the smells. I can appreciate how the plant grows, which I really do. It's a fascinating fractalization that occurs in all plant growth, but especially you can see it in the cannabis plant. It's when the flowers are growing, they sort of grow in a spiral. And when you look at like a cola from the top down, you sort of see this pattern that goes into, or maybe, when you get into the jelly bellies, you can, see the fractalization a little bit more. Maybe that pattern recognition begins to increase. Over here getting thirsty, sitting in the sun, just boiling myself. Although it is a beautiful day, it's going to be one of the last beautiful days of the year. So I figured I'd come down to the water. Something about this location in particular. It's like I've been doing these on location episodes where I've tried to capture and catalog various places in my life that have very, very deep memories rooted and attached to them. This is definitely one of them right here. Not only would we come down here to skate and ride the longboards, there's a big hill, not a big hill, but a big hill for Louisville, right over that way. And then also you can take the waterfront path and do some cross-country longboarding, essentially all the way down to 9th Street. And we're on the whole other side of the bridge from that. And really, you could go further, but the trail, once you get into Portland, is a little shitty, to be honest. The city has not taken care of that nearly as well as they should have. And man, the ADHD is slapping today. I can tell why I was prescribed I can't tell you why I was prescribed, but I can see why a teacher back in the day might have thought that I've had it. And who knows? Maybe I do. I feel like I definitely, experience symptoms that align with it. And for a long time, and even still probably, cannabis is a good tool for regulating ADHD in certain doses and certain genetics. So for me, the genetics that work the best for ADHD are haze genetics, and particularly whatever arrangement of VOCs and cannabinoids. I think hazes tend to have like higher, don't quote me on this, and not every haze is the same, but some of the ones with more like the more spicy, sandalwoody with the slight, like almost like a roasted, like if you were to zest a lemon and then roast it in the oven and then shave warm cedar chippings into that, and then a little bit of this like, not etheric, because ether kind of has this weird sweet smell to it. It's almost like a turpentine. Yeah, that's it. Turpentine mixed with cedar shavings, mixed with the fucking like roasted lemon in the oven. That terpene profile, which I would imagine high amounts of limonene, probably alpha pinene. I'm not sure what makes the cedar one. But alpha pinene is where you get that sort of turpentine smell. And that combined with the particular ratio of cannabinoids in that genetic, specifically the amnesia haze that my dad and I used to grow. Wow. I mean, talk about focus. You talk about, you don't get sleepy smoking that strain. It almost like you smoke enough of that amnesia and it feels like you did some amphetamines. Like your heart is beating in your chest. You can almost like hear your heartbeat in your ears. Your vision is sharper. You don't feel sleepy. You don't feel sedated in any way. Some of like the chem, like the chem-based lineages, the granddaddy perps, those sort of more, I guess, high elevation, stockier, shorter genetics, like the Kushes, I'm trying to think of what else has made me really, really sleepy. I had a blackberry back in the day. I guess that was blackberry Kush. So still like a Kush type genetic versus like a haze genetic. Kush is really good for managing like when I had to go through physical therapy, I enjoyed that. Like when I tore a something in my shoulder when I was playing baseball when I was 18. And the really heavy Kush, those cheese genetics too, seem to be one that works really well for that. But yeah, when I would consume that, it was like, let's say do that and knock out a bunch of work around the house, or maybe knock out like a 30-mile bike ride or something. And, that being said, if you drive your tolerance up to the moon and then keep going and keep going and keep going till you can't even see the solar system anymore, you start to lose those benefits that exist within cannabis. And I think that is the law of diminishing returns in action. Man, I have no idea how long I've been recording for. I think I'm going to go ahead and get some more hydration at this point. And yeah, I guess I can talk a little bit about the mental health side of things too. It seemed to be that there's a lot of unresolved pain and trauma that exists within my body. And the therapist that I'm working with, and like I was saying earlier, they don't disagree with my personal methods, but they want me to experiment with committing to clearing my body out completely and reassessing from that baseline, even if it is a period of temporary suffering. And, I had to really sit with myself and think about, like, do I want to commit to this? Is this something that I think could benefit my life? And after really being honest with myself, I had to say, yeah. And, it's an interesting thing. Oh shit. We're watching some fish hop up out the water out of frame. You can't really see it though. And there's a blue jay too. Doctors, get them on the Adderall now. Yeah, man, what a day, like I'm saying, 48 hours into the sobriety thing, or I guess the anti-cannabis, not even anti-cannabis. I'm very much pro-cannabis. Just the cessation of cannabis use in my current existence. Yeah, I was talking a little bit about that, feeling like I have sort of an internal shiver going on. I also notice I don't know if it's nausea necessarily, but definitely a decreased appetite, which, for a former amphetamine addict, I'm no stranger to, and you kind of just got to chew right through it and almost take your food like it's a pill. So you chew the food up, and then, like, obviously I couldn't swallow it because I'd just be too fucking geeked up, and your body just, it almost would, reject the food. But I learned if I swallowed it like a pill with water, I could almost, trick my brain into keeping the food down, which was a weird, psychological trick, and I'm not sure the meanings behind that currently, but that's what I used to do. And so that's what I'm currently doing right now. I had about half a bowl of pho when earlier before filming and riding. And typically I can kill a bowl very easy where I'm, drinking the fucking broth afterwards. But, yeah, and to be honest, some of that low appetite too comes from, not being on the regular exercise. And so like yesterday I had to do a whole bunch of stuff and go to, a therapy thing as well, and did not get around to exercising like I should have. And I think that today that impacted my appetite levels. So I guess the more I exercise, maybe the better I will be able to eat through the withdrawal. The sleep obviously isn't a weird thing. Last night I was able to sleep. The night before, I guess I had a lot of anxiety too about making a sudden change in my life. So I just stayed up all night. I saw the sun come up and still laid in bed for a couple hours, just tossing and turning, hoping I could get some semblance of sleep. And when that didn't work, I just got up and started my day. But yesterday I ended up getting a few hours of sleep. Pretty odd dreams, but I'm used to essentially partially lucid dreaming most nights that I dream. But last night was a little bit, I guess, more intense. I'm sure that'll continue to change, and it'll probably take like a couple months for my body to really clear out all the weed. I've heard with dabbing, it can take, like if you're a heavy hash smoker and you eat a lot of edibles too, it can take a long, long time for your body to fully clear out and return to like a completely cannabinoid-free state. But you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm committed to it, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. That being said, I'm still going to be capturing conversations with people, traveling around. I think that, like I was saying earlier, cannabis in general has allowed me to come in contact with some of the more interesting people and capture some of the more valuable conversations that, even if it's just me that gets to listen back to it, it's still something that I find a lot of personal value in. And, I'm sure that things will evolve just as they always have. Things have always changed over here on Terpene Therapy. Like from the beginning of the podcast to now is such a different experience. I'm sure even for you all, for the listeners out there, it's a different experience. I'm sure my mindset has changed. I'm sure even the cadence in which I speak is different sometimes. Where I'm at has a big influence on my expression through the podcast as well. But I'm very grateful for everybody who has continued to listen and interact with, enjoy, find value in this podcast. And so I'm if you're out there and you're listening to this, just know I greatly appreciate you. I also appreciate all the external opportunities that Terpene Therapy has sort of had me run into by chance. And I think that, this will be a good time to really sort of lock in and focus more on that too, and figure out, it's like, for some reason I feel this sense of positivity, where while I might not have something that I view as, I wonder if it's almost like a security blanket in a sense, as much as it is a tool, it's something that has also just been a constant in my existence, and it is a part of my family. It was, I shouldn't say maybe a part of my family, but it was always around when I was growing up. Never, of course, my mom didn't want me smoking weed when I was 14 years old, just like any, good, reasonable mother should. But, by 17, she realized that was a losing battle. And by 18, because she hadn't smoked weed in so many years because of her working for, I guess, the Louisville Metro government in the, urban planning division. what she did was sort of like help plan out a lot of these suburbs and I don't know if you're from Louisville, like a Lake Forest style neighborhood. Believe it or not, that job does not pay nearly as well as you would imagine. But yeah, did a lot of work like that. Also was a part of the mayor's hike and bike team, which I guess is hike, bike, and paddle now. They've added the kayaking element into it. And if you're ever around Louisville, it's like if you've seen those silver loop, like the bicycle racks that are outside of a lot of businesses. I don't know if they still are. I'm trying to think of it. I'm sure they still are out there, but I can't remember the last time I've actively seen one and paid attention to it. Maybe I'll go do that on my way home on the bike ride. Yeah. But yeah, essentially going to be working with a therapist to try to unpack what all is going on up here rather than just, I don't know if I was pushing it under the rug, because I would think about it if I was getting high, but I feel like the cannabis allowed me a filtered way of looking at it, of talking to my own consciousness and in my soul. And maybe I just want to see what it's like to not do that. Who knows? I don't know what the future holds in this regard. I do know that I'm, going to be exploring other plants. There's lots of other plants out here that are really beneficial for our species. And, maybe diving into more of an educational side on those as well. There are various species of mushrooms that contain terpenoid and terpene compounds. There's also various species of cacti that contain triterpenoid compounds. I don't think there are any monoterpenes that have been found in columnar cacti, but I those are also two really beneficial tools for my existence. And I think that I might be able to actually get a better utilization of those tools. I've always found when I mix cannabis with a certain species of mushrooms or a certain species of cacti, that maybe the experience almost gets, these dudes are over here struggling. They're trying to move a box around. It's a really windy day. I'm sort of in this, there's the wind coming now. But I'm trying to be in sort of like a windless pocket down here. But I'm over here watching these dudes, like they got cardboard boxes just flying around everywhere. And I kind of want to go help them, but I'm in the middle of recording this podcast. So I think we're going to just watch them struggle from here. And what's good is that even though I'm in fairly severe cannabis withdrawal, I can still put a smile on my face and still appreciate, being out here, being alive, being on the bike. It's just a weird thing. My body's out of homeostasis, and but like I was saying earlier, I still appreciate and maybe will get a better benefit from the utilization of those other tools that I like to implement in my life. God, it's a beautiful day outside, honestly. The sun's starting to go down just a little bit. I don't really like daylight savings time all that much. But we're gonna thug it out, gonna keep it moving. Let's see how long we've been recording for. I have no idea how long this podcast is gonna be. Oh, right around, I was thinking it was 30 minutes and we are at 29 minutes and 20 seconds, just about. Oh man, what a beautiful reflection in the water. I've always come down to this place whenever there's great change that happens in my life. And I think that, the decision I made is one of the bigger changes that I've made in the past 5 years, since the death of my parents, which was that was probably the biggest change of my life. And, it's like I was saying, while cannabis has been a really good tool for navigating that, my therapist and I agree that it's important to see what it is. And then, if which I'm going to say when it's time to reintegrate it back into my life, hopefully it will be from a perspective of enjoyment rather than prevention of suffering. And, I can't tell anybody else what to do. Everybody's got their own personal relationship with cannabis, but I always think it's important to analyze and try to see what that relationship is for yourself out there if you're listening. And if it's a good relationship, hell yeah, keep using it, keep on going. I don't think that there is really a single reason not to, other than if you are personally just going through a time where you need to reevaluate your relationship with it. Other than that, fuck it, run it up, do a 650 degree slurper rip for me, and yeah, very all over the place today. Next week we'll check back in with the progression of the withdrawal, and sort of do like a little mental check-in to see, how am I doing with that as well. Right now I feel fairly neutral positive. Earlier I was feeling like a little odd, I guess, when I first woke up, but got outside, got some sunlight, put some hydration in my body, and from there I could deal with the weirdness. And I think that's what the next little bit of time is going to be in my life, is dealing with the weirdness, knowing that I have the ability to exist through anything that, any decision that I make or anything that the world throws at me, and I've had I've just had so much bullshit thrown at me in the past 5 years that maybe part of this decision was sort of like like a true semblance of exploration. You know what I mean? It's like, as much as I enjoy exploring consciousness through compounds, you can do all different types of methods. And if you spent over half of your life doing one thing, maybe take a little bit of time. And I think it was weird because my 30th birthday is coming up soon in 6 months. And I was just, we're eating the spicy square, and sort of that realization hit me too. It was a bunch of realizations all at once. And it was funny. It was happening as I was, taking the plants, we'd take the main colas, buck them down, and, oh man, sorry, I'm over here getting a case of the yawns. For some reason, those particular species of fungal bodies sometimes makes you yawn a little bit. Oh man, but yeah, I suppose I don't have too much else to say today. Really appreciate you all taking the time to listen. And I suppose I will see each and every one of y'all next week for a continuation of a new leaf for Terpene Therapy. Also, we got to get the Print Ghost episode soon. And then we're also on the books for, I believe, a Foothills Hash Co. conversation as well. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I figured, I'd just smell the jars, sort of imagine what they taste like, and just, I don't necessarily have to consume the THC to appreciate what it is and the craftsmanship that goes behind each and every single jar out there. I tried to make that a little bit more vocally smooth, but I think I lost my train of thought in the middle of when I was thinking, which tends to happen a lot, especially with ADHD. It's something that I've always felt like I've had multiple. We're getting the yawns. I always felt like I've had multiple trains of thought going on. Even when I was a kid, I could remember being in class in elementary school and still feeling the same way. Man, what a wild time. It's been a very, very long road, you know, and this will be but a short corner in that very long road. So I suppose I'll see each and every one of y'all next week. And yeah, thank you all for listening. This has been a different session of Terpene Therapy.